Hey, it's me, Joy, again. Um, so I'm a little upset at the moment. You know, my sister, she told me something about a possibility that there was, and that possibility, just upset me, you know, and it wasn't her that upset me, it was just the scenario upset me, right? And, you know, in that moment, I realized I don't want to hear this. And I told her that. I recognized that I got upset. It was very visible that I got upset. And I told her, I don't want to hear this. Just leave me alone. Just stop talking to me about it. I don't want to hear. You know. And, you know, uh, I, I'm pretty sure she probably thought I was upset at her, just because of her response. But, you know, um, I tried to explain to her it wasn't her that made me upset. It was the scenario that she placed upon me that made me upset. And you know what is interesting is as much as we have to acknowledge the emotions that we have within the moments that we have them, right? We have to acknowledge the level that our mental capacity is at. You know, the reason why I didn't want to hear about it is because of what it was pertaining. I have, not even had, I have a lot of care within that situation. There's been a lot of worry, and I've just said in my mind, I just put the best possible scenario in my head. Like, okay, maybe everything is just okay. Maybe everything is just fine. And so, because I've done that, when my initial thought was automatically worry and that something wrong was going on, I did not want to hear that possibility that something so tragic could have happened. You know, that's something that I never really recognized. I've always understood that as a people, we have to take acknowledgement in the fact that sometimes you can't deal with something right then and there, right? Say you get into a little debate with someone and you both are upset and you both are like, you know what? Or at least one of you are like, you know what? Let me just take a moment from this because I'm not trying to argue. I'm not trying to be upset like this. This is something we should put on hold for a minute and come back to it. Right? And I understand that. And I think I've always understood that, however you want to say it. But one thing I never put in that category was, possibilities. The possibilities of outcomes. I never looked at it like that. And it's so crazy because if you think about it, we do it a lot. Like, think about a scenario in your head where there were so many possibilities that could have taken place. And instead of focusing on the negative, you just said, to try and put yourself at ease, you just immediately was like, okay, I'm just going to think positively about it. I'm not going to put too much worry on it. I'm going to try and just hope that the best outcome has taken place. And we don't even recognize, at least not the majority of us, I'm sure there's someone who's recognized it, right? The majority of us don't recognize that we do this so often. That we have to literally put our minds at ease just so we don't have that anxiety within us. I do feel a little bad because the I was upset within it being said, and you know, my tone was very, you could tell I'm upset, so my tone towards my sister was, um untoward. It shouldn't have been that way towards her, but considering it was coming from her, I just, in the moment, I just can't hear this. I don't want to think about this, And I've done a video before about, like, blind optimism, right? Which is what I really consider hope. I just see hope as blind optimism, and those, when, and technically anybody who has hope within them, if anybody who they have around them that thinks that someone is like just naive and stuff because they're so hopeful, then they're basically saying that, oh, you have blind optimism. I kind of put them in sync. If you, I can't really, try and go into it because my mind is in a different place right now. But if you want, you can go check out that video and see what I said on it. That's from one that I did way back. So, but yeah, I feel like that's another thing that we have to start looking at more. It's not just like in the moment things that we have to come back to, because it's not even just about arguments, is it? Like, it could be like a scenario that you're in and you be like, you know what, I can't deal with this, right? Say you got a project coming up. Like, say you're in college or something and you got a project coming up and you are just swamped with stuff and you have no idea what you want to do for the project or something. And like, you're like, you know what, I'm just going to take a moment, recalculate myself and come back to this, Not that you're going to leave it and not do your project, but you just need that moment to collect yourself, get your mind back in a solid, sorry, I tried to say solidified, but solid state, and then get back at it. We have to recognize those moments where, and just came to me. That's the interesting thing about that is that's kind of like how it is with trauma, because you can't deal with trauma right away, because if you're not in the right mind state, you're gonna think of all of that stuff in the wrong way and be put in just a bad place, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually, so I guess my message for today is just, we all should just like be a bit more aware of those little moments where, it comes to scenarios where there's so many different possibilities that could have taken place. And you just like, you have to recognize the moment where you can't allow yourself to think a certain way because it'll put you in a bad place, right? But don't always sit there without thinking of that possibility. And I say that because, let's say the worst case scenario is just super terrible. If that is actually what took place, you will never learn to grieve. You'll never learn to get over that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I do believe in just hoping for the best. And I don't see anything wrong with that. And I hope you don't either. And if somebody tells you that you're wrong for hoping for the best, you know what? That's probably somebody you shouldn't be around anyways. I'm going to be completely honest. But that's all I got to say. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night whenever you are watching this. And I will see you next week.